Hey, friends, welcome back to the Called to Lead podcast. So, I am really excited about today's episode because it's going to be one of the last few in the series where I've been talking about the 4 strategies of how you can use or not social media to grow your network marketing business. And so, this episode is going to be focused a little bit more on the integrate strategy, and specifically one thing that's an old school option that is honestly how myself and a lot of other top leaders have built their business. And it's one of the most proven ways to not only continue to serve your existing customers in a way that's going to nurture them, help them feel loved and served, and build the passive income that can come from really happy customers, but it's also a great way for you to stay consistent in your business and grow new business and new relationships that can help take your business to the next level. It's also one of the most duplicatable or replicatable things that you can do yourself as a leader, and it can be delegated too. So, what am I talking about? It is the Facebook VIP group. And so, in today's episode, I'm going to be diving into my top do's and don'ts because this is something I've had my group for years. I was off of social media for over a year, but I just recently relaunched my group on Facebook, and it's been awesome. And I've seen several of my teamies kind of plug back into theirs, and their sales are growing as well. Okay, so before we get into the do's and don'ts, let's talk about some of the basics of a VIP group, what it is, where I have seen the best place to have them, and how it is a perfect strategy for those of you guys who are choosing the integrate method of being a human online on Facebook or Instagram, wherever you actually show up to engage with the people that you know and love, but how you're integrating your product or your service and the business side as well into your personal feeds, as opposed to going the investment method route where you're focusing on only your product, maybe on a separate business platform or a separate Instagram account, or going the influencer route, which is more putting yourself out there as a personal brand and sharing all facets of your life. So again, integrate is what I am now doing. So this that we're going to talk about today is literally sharing the secrets of how I run my VIP Facebook group, which is based on some of the best practices that I've seen from other leaders who have built massive businesses and have duplicated this strategy within their teams in order to grow their business. Okay. But there are, like I said, there's do's and don'ts for the right and wrong way to do it. And so these are lessons learned again from myself and from others that I want to be able to share with you. But what is a Facebook group or a VIP group? Essentially, it is a group that you set up to serve your business. And it is a place where if you make it public, and we'll talk about that in a minute, anyone can find it that's out there, and you can share the content that's in that group out of the group, either onto your personal page or into a messenger conversation if you're doing this on Facebook. You can't really make a group on Instagram, so specifically the strategies I'm talking about today are going to be inside a Facebook group. Or if you go the private route, that is more of a community focused around people who love whatever it is that you're offering, okay? So there's a bunch of different ways to do it, but essentially it's creating a group versus a page or a business page to serve the people that are in your network, whether they're existing customers or people that you would like to try your product or service. This is a group that will be able to serve them, okay? So the reason it's a perfect fit for the integrate strategy is because you can strategically share little bits and pieces on your personal profile. So for example, not too long ago, I did a before and after on my personal Facebook page, and I shared a link to the group. I just did the @ in the little description of my post and said, if you're interested in learning more about this makeup, I'm going to be hosting an online virtual makeup class where you can totally just join this group. And then I did the @ and wrote out the name of my group is Your Saint Mama Heather K. Burge VIPs. So it's a play on my YouTube channel, which is Your Saint Mama, where when I share videos on my YouTube channel, it's about serving anybody that is in any part of their journey of either trying Seint, considering about being a customer. Maybe they already are a customer. Even if they're not my customers, I always point people back to the original artist that shared it with them, unless of course they don't have one, and then they're welcome to shop with me. And I also share tips and tricks on how to get some free makeup with the Hostess Rewards program, and as well as information about the artist program and how that works. And so since I'm Your Saint Mama on YouTube, I incorporated that into the name of my Facebook VIP group. So I'll drop the link in the show notes. You're welcome to stalk around, check it out. It is a public group, so you technically don't even have to join to see all of the different things, but you're welcome to join if you want to stay in the loop on anything Seint related, or honestly, just stalk away to see how I run that group personally to see if it's something that you want to integrate into your business as well. Okay. So you just call it whatever you want. I think it used to be Heather's VIP Beauties. I actually really like that name as well. I just kind of wanted to keep the branding consistent. You can make it either solely focused on your product, or if you have things that you love that are different facets of your just passions. So maybe like I have a teamie who's a top leader, Molly Goodman, who loves home decor, and she's really good at it. Her home is absolutely beautiful. And so she'll share makeup and beauty along with some home decor tips in her VIP group. So you can choose, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in some of these do's and don'ts. There's not necessarily a wrong way to do it, but it's going to be somewhere where you're going to want to post consistently to serve your existing customers, and you can strategically find ways to grow the group that we're going to talk about. So I hope that makes sense. You can always hop over to the Called to Lead community on Telegram or text the word podcast to my business cell 912-405-8912 if you're still unclear on exactly what a VIP group is. But for those of you guys who get the gist of it and you're like, okay, give me all the goods, Heather, what are the best practices, do's and don'ts of doing this? We'll dive right in, okay? So there's 7 do's and 7 don'ts that are tied together. And the first one is I do recommend that you start a public one on Facebook. So the reason I say that is, like I mentioned already, this is a group that people don't have to join. They can stalk around to be able to see the content that you've shared in there. They can tag someone in it, and they don't actually have to be in the group in order to see exactly what someone maybe shared with them. So you can invite your customers as you're doing posts in there to tag their friends or tag someone that they think might love the makeup. Or they can share by clicking the little share button or copying the link. They can share it directly via, say, Messenger or even via text message. And when they click that link, they can see the post without having to actually join the group. So for that reason, I love the public option, even if you are a little bit more private about what you put on your personal Facebook feed. So do start a public one, because that's one of the top questions that I get. And if you recall, when I interviewed Britt Banky, who is one of the top 10 leaders in our company, and a few episodes back, she shared all of the strategies of how she has duplicated massive success on her business by doing Facebook parties. She coaches her team to do a Facebook launch party inside a public Facebook group. So I asked her if she said public and private, and she definitely said public, and I totally agree. So do start a public group. So the don't associated with this is don't stress if you have already made a group and you already have one with your existing customers in it and it's already private. Because guess what? Once you make a group private, you can't make it public again. I believe you can go the other direction. If your group is public, you can make it private. But if yours is already private, or I had another one of my awesome leaders accidentally make hers private. And at first she was like, oh man. But then she actually stumbled upon another top seller within our company who had a private group. And we did a little digging and just outright asked her, hey, did you do this private group on purpose? And she said, yes, I actually did it because it creates a community where people can feel really comfortable and confident to be able to share. And so while I still recommend the first do of, if you have the option of starting from scratch, creating a public group, don't stress if you already have a private one. You're just going to want to commit and run with that. So instead of saying things like, tag a friend in this post because they won't see it unless they're in the group, you're going to want to focus on maybe having them invite people into the group. And you're definitely going to want to play up the fact that it is a private community where people can feel like they can share any questions. So maybe you're with a weight loss company or a gut health company and you're sharing some things that maybe are sensitive and they don't want random people on the internet seeing their question, or maybe before and after pictures of something like a weight loss journey. If it's a private group, people are going to feel a little bit more comfortable in sharing. So even though I do recommend, if you have the choice, starting with a public, the don't is tied to the fact that you should not stress if you have a private group. Just run with it and embrace it and take that different approach, if that makes sense. Okay. So that's the first do and don't. So the next one is, I touched on this when I talked about Brit, but it's do a launch for your business inside the group if you're just setting it up, or if you already have one, even if it's dead, do a relaunch of your business. And so what the heck is a launch? What do I mean by this? It's essentially posting maybe 3 days to a week's worth of educational content and value inside that group leading up to a live demo of you sharing and talking about the beauty of what it is that you have to offer. And so what's really cool about this is you can specifically and strategically invite people into the group in order to check out this launch class. Or again, you can encourage other people to invite their friends and family into it and almost be hostesses. Like with our company, we have a very generous hostess reward program where people can get lots of free makeup by referring people in. Or you guys have heard me talk about BNI, Business Networking International. And I sent a little link to my group when I did my relaunch here a couple weeks ago. And I shared it into a little chat that we had. And I made it really easy for them to share that either on their personal page with a link to the group or to share it with individuals that they thought might be a good referral to try the makeup. So there's lots of different ways that you can do it, but a relaunch gives them something specific to invite people to. So instead of just, I'm going to add you to my group, it's, would you be interested in learning more about my product to help improve your gut health? And so most people are going to be like, yeah, I don't know anything about gut health. That's definitely not something that's my focus. But if it was something that I was interested in learning more about, or like you probably have seen this with things like Norwex, they do great online parties that are specific to cleaning and really clean natural products for your home. So I have definitely been invited to a few of those where someone's sharing the value of that. And the same principle applies for pretty much any product or service that you have. So doing a launch or a relaunch class inside that group is a really effective way to equip you with a tool that you can use to invite people individually, invite, as I mentioned before, on your personal page where you're tagging a little bit of your story, and then using the @ sign to literally tag the group in your post will make it so people can click on it. They can add themselves in there, and it'll be a perfect way to do it, okay? So do a launch or a relaunch in your group. I have relaunched in there probably about 5 times in the 6 years of being in this business. And it's a great way when I want to really feel energized and dive back into my business, which not only benefits my personal business. So I had one of my top, I think, definitely top 5 highest months last month when I did this relaunch. And I integrated, of course, some in-person things, and my YouTube has stepped up a little bit. So there were other facets of it. But not only did it improve my personal business and create a place that all of these new customers can go in and watch and learn and be loved on and served, but my team picked up on it as well. And I had more than one of my teamies decide to do the same thing, and they have either launched or are relaunching in a group as well. So it's a highly duplicatable way that even if you've been in your company for a long time, it's a way that you can do something that will spark that bit of inspiration and action within your team as well. So the don't tied to this is do not mass add people by just clicking that little invite button. So the reason this is not effective is, and this is what gives groups a bad name, is not everybody's going to want to be a part of this, and that is okay. Plus, even if they do, if that's the way that you're choosing to communicate with them is a very passive, scaredy cat approach of literally just clicking the invite button, they're not going to feel connected or served in any way. And while some people might actually accept the invite, it is so much better to take the time to make a list and individually connect with the people that you want in the group. And so a perfect example of this is Lauren Verlander, who I've also interviewed on this podcast not too long ago, who's a perfect, beautiful example of the integrate strategy. Molly, that I was telling you about, that has her Molly B Beauty and Home VIP group. When she did her launch inside that group, she sent Lauren a message on Messenger and they chatted for a minute. And she said, by the way, I am now with a makeup company. I'm going to be doing a little bit of a class, and I'm going to be sharing some more information about it inside this group. If I were to send you the link, would you be interested in checking it out? And so Lauren was like, you know what? Sure. Send it over, whatever. And then when she saw the group, when she saw the makeup, she was like, what is this? And you can hear in her words if you want to go listen to that podcast. But Molly taking that somewhat scary action and taking just maybe a minute of her time to send her that message, which I think she typed hers out. I always recommend using your voice because then it's even more personal when you're inviting people. But taking that extra time creates a conversation. It creates more of a curiosity, and people feel like you genuinely are thinking of them. And so you're going to have a much better success rate when you actually invite people into the group. And again, if they don't join, they probably don't want to be there anyway, which means they're not going to engage in the group, which is going to even hurt your algorithm posts. So do not, whatever you do, don't just invite people by hitting that little invite button on there. Take the time, if you see someone on that list that you're like, oh, she would be great for this, to send them a message using your voice and shoot them the link using that language of, if I were to send you a link to the group, would you want to pop in there and check it out? And again, you can give them something even more specific by doing that launch or relaunch. So does that make sense? So you don't want to mass add people by clicking that invite button. But don't forget, you can also do that little @ sign to tag it in any post that you do on your personal page if you're using the integrate strategy, in order to invite people that way. So that's more like the fishing strategy of just casting a net to anyone that might be following you online or the person that you forgot you were friends with on there, versus the more hunting strategy of individually connecting with people and divorcing whether or not they actually decide to do it by manually individually connecting and inviting them into your group. So again, it's not spammy, it's not weird, because you're not inviting them to try your product or buy your product. You're inviting them to learn more about it inside your group. And if they do or they don't, you did the hard thing and the kind of sometimes scary thing that can absolutely build not only your business, but also the confidence for when you have someone like Lauren, who not only wants to become a customer, but wants to become a leader and then reaches the top like 50 in the entire company. Don't be scared. Be like Molly. Don't mass invite, individually invite. Okay. So the next do focus on being very consistent in terms of serving your customers in that group. And what I mean by that, and as I'm developing my strategy in terms of integrating myself back into social media, which has taken a lot of habit developing for me to get in the rhythm. So I'm not perfect at this right now. And something that I'm working on right now is to try to develop, for example, on Mondays, I'm going to be sharing my YouTube video inside that group. What's really cool is our team within Seint has a public facing group where we have someone go live doing a makeover Monday in that group. And because it's a public group, I can and probably will share that makeover Monday inside my VIP group every single Monday, which is going to be somebody that looks different than me, maybe is a different age, has a different application technique, or maybe they can take it up next level. But essentially on Mondays, I'm going to be posting a little bit more specifically something of value about the makeup. Tuesdays, I'm going to be giving a tip. And I have been stalking and getting inspiration from some of my other fellow artists and clicking the save button anytime I see it on Facebook. And so now I'm going to go in and go into those saved posts, and I will schedule them out. I'll take about maybe 45 minutes at the beginning of the week to schedule out several weeks of content on Tuesdays to give a tip each week. Then Wednesdays, I'm going to do a Welcome Wednesday where I'm going to be welcoming the new members into the group, which kind of, first of all, helps them feel seen. It's a feature that Facebook automatically does when you have a group. There's like a little button, I think it's kind of at the top right, where it says, want to welcome your new members. And you're like, yep, sure do. And so it just helps people to remind them that maybe they know someone who could join the group too. So Welcome Wednesday. Thursday is Thankful Thursday. So that's where I'm going to be sharing thank yous for those who have ordered with me over the last week. So it's one post. You can also, if you're really consistent, this is not something I could probably do every single time. I just know the way my brain works. I'm a little bit more on Thursdays I do this versus every time this happens I do this. But if you are the type that you want to go in and post a thank you every single time a customer orders, I've seen people do that to great success. But so for me, I'm going to do Thankful Thursdays. And then Fridays, I am going to go live each week in there. And it might be a different day of the week, but in my mind, I'm just going to plan on Fridays being the day that I hop in there and do a quick get ready with me. And so this is going to be a way that my existing customers can learn a little bit more. They can engage with me. Fridays are also when I post these podcasts that you're listening to. So when I'm just doing the little get ready with me, I'll talk about maybe whatever I talked about on the podcast, just to give people a little bit more insight into whatever it is that is going on in my life and in my business. And so by being very consistent and posting, almost having a routine or a rhythm of my group, my customers are going to start to know this, and they're going to start to realize what they can expect from the group. And again, that's what's going to make them more likely to maybe add a few friends who might be interested in that as well. And so your existing customers will be served with maybe any new products that you have. Or, for example, it's the first of the month today. And so I can share my new shopping link for the month in there and pin that to the top. That's another great way to do it. But if you consistently do the same actions each week, each month, you will consistently serve your customers, and it'll give you a level of accountability within your business that can really help it grow. The don't tied to this is don't expect for your sales to grow if you aren't continually growing the group. So this particular strategy, I did a whole podcast episode actually early on in my podcast journey where I talked about the 4 different areas of your business in order to be consistent or have a daily method of operation. And it talks about customer service versus customer acquisition. And so a Facebook VIP group is primarily a customer service kind of action, basically, meaning you're there to serve your existing customers and making that your primary focus. So the only way that you're going to gain new customers or get customer acquisition is if you grow your group. So if your group has remained about the same size because you're maybe not asking people to invite or share with their friends, or you're not doing consistent events in there where you're individually connecting with and having conversations to invite people there, if your group isn't growing, don't expect for your sales to grow, if that makes sense. Now, your reorders might grow the more consistent you are, and that can be a really beneficial way to build a passive income in this business, but you always do want to be continually filling your funnel, if you will, of new business, okay? So the way that you can do that is by, again, individually connecting and inviting people into the group, maybe having a launch or a relaunch every now and then, or like a quarterly, you could do like a fall into beauty or whatever it is, whatever your company is this fall to get people excited about it, okay? But don't expect to grow your sales if you aren't continually growing the group. A group is primarily a customer service action, but you can make it a customer acquisition action if you're actively inviting people into the group, okay? So the next one, we're almost halfway through, guys. I was hoping this would be a really short one, but y'all, I can talk. So hopefully I've got several more great tips that I think you guys are going to love. So keep listening, okay? So the next do is go live as often as you can. So I mentioned I'll be doing this once a week personally, but this is a way that you can continually show your face. It can be super quick. I have a leader, Emily, who does like a little makeup. She's a hairstylist, so she does her makeup in the car, and she just shares whatever's going on in her life. Like she just took a fabulous trip to Paris, or after she came back from her conference, she shared a little bit about that. And it's just a great way to get people to know you. And it is a way that, again, like if you're like me, I'm going to be doing my makeup, may as well do the makeup live in the group, right? Or if you're going to be doing a workout, maybe you're with a fitness company like Body, then, maybe you do your workout with me each week, something along those lines. But going live in that VIP group is going to be a way that you can show your face. So same thing when you're doing any kind of product reviews or showcasing new products, your face is always going to make more of a splash with the people who know you than someone else's face. You can certainly use and share other people's journeys or pictures if you get their permission, of course, but know that yours is going to have the biggest impact, okay? So do show your face, do go live, because the next one is don't only share canned graphics that someone else has made or even that you've spent hours making, because I've seen even brand new distributors that sometimes will almost spend too much time and energy creating something like a graphic that might be beautiful, but honestly, it feels like a marketing or a sales tool. And it's not as impactful or effective as if they were to just share their own before and after or their own voice or, again, going live. Same thing. You can, like last week, I shared a beautiful 4 pictures of, we have something called Shades of the Season where we have each quarter some new shades that come and go for a very limited time. And so my friend Kelly did a beautiful post with 4 different shades. And so I grabbed it and I shared it in the group and I said, here's my friend Kelly showing these beautiful things. This is the last day to grab them. Here's the link. And definitely got some sales from doing that. But guess what? Next month, when the new shades of the season are out, I'm going to do the same thing because I was like, oh, I could totally do this, because really all you have to do is take the picture with each of the different colors. And again, because people know me that are in that group and they want to know what I think, then it will be a way that I can create a content that's maybe inspired by what Kelly did that's going to even have a bigger impact. Don't just share pics of others. Definitely take that inspiration to do pictures of yourself because that can make a huge impact, okay? So that's that don't. So the next one is something I touched on a little bit, which is do thank your customers as they order. So this kind of goes without saying that if this is a group that is there to continually serve your customers, you should thank them in there because it's going to be social proof, first of all, that you are, sharing your business. Everybody loves to hear or see their name and to be shouted out in a way. Again, I do this each week with a group of customers. You can do it individually if you choose, but do take the time to thank your customers as they order within this group, okay? And so don't be scared. This is a great task that can help your group really get a ton of engagement. Don't be scared to ask your customers to share themselves in the group. So people will sometimes do whatever you ask them to do. So if you just ask them or maybe incentivize them with a fun little giveaway to share their testimonial in their words, or even better, maybe a picture or before and after within the group, testimonials are so powerful, and it can not only help maybe somebody else better understand how your product or your business has served someone else, but Facebook is going to love it in terms of an engagement perspective, and it will increase the other posts that you do in terms of how many people see it. So do not be scared to directly ask. And you can literally go person to person. If you have a new customer, you can say, hey, would you mind, here's your before and after. Would you mind posting this in the group and just sharing a little bit about your experience with me? And so it's like reviews on Google or Yelp, which you can also do those things too. But in the same way that, like when I got my window treatments in my house, they asked me to do a review, which of course I did on Facebook and on Google. But I could then ask a new customer in the same way to share her testimonial or her review inside my VIP group. And so don't be scared to do that, whether you're asking them individually, whether you're incentivizing them with a little contest to do it, or just help people to know this is a safe place for you to share whatever it is that you think, questions, thoughts, wins, any of those things, okay? So that's that do. The next one is do schedule out posts to make it easy. So I touched on this also a little bit. You can time block this in and just literally put it on your calendar if you want to spend some time thoughtfully crafting out some posts, existing ones if you already have it, to schedule it out so that you're not necessarily having to do something every single day inside that group. You can schedule it out. So this is going to make it super easy for those of you guys who maybe are working full time, or you've got kids at home during the summer and you're like, okay, I've got an hour of time, or honestly, it will probably take you 15 to 20 minutes to do this. But if you go in, especially if you're using that save method, like I mentioned, if you see something powerful, and it might be a quote, it might be, again, a before and after, or a testimony from someone in your company, whatever it is, just click the save button. When you get a minute, go in and schedule that out. This is also something, if you are a top leader, or maybe you are using the influencer strategy or the investment strategy, but you want to exemplify what this could look like for your team, you can delegate this. If you have a virtual assistant, which I've also talked about here on this podcast, if you have a virtual assistant, you can delegate this to them. They can help gather content and post it on for you. I know a top leader in our company that she has her VA go in and schedule them. But each month before they go live, or each week, she will go in and just tweak it just a little bit. So she'll make sure that it's something that sounds like something she would post. She might change up the wording to really sound like her. And she has a little bit of control over it, but the bulk of the work is done by someone else. And then she'll just hit publish and schedule it out that way. So do schedule out posts to make your life easier, save time, and time block it out, okay? And the don't aside to this is do not sleep on the free Boards app. You guys, this is literally like every one of you guys needs to go download it immediately. I can put it in the show notes, but it's just called Boards. It's totally free until you get to a certain number of shares. And honestly, I think I'm still even using the free version. I think I came super close. I might have actually bought it last month. But if you're to that point where you are sharing enough that it becomes a cost, then you're doing well enough that you can justify whatever the minimal investment is. But it's totally free to start. And what it is you can save posts like these, or like I have my little thank you graphics that are saved in the Boards app. so that when I go in to do the little thank you for my customers, I've got that little graphic right at my fingertips, right there using the Boards app. So it's what I also use to schedule out my relaunch class inside my Facebook group. It made it ridiculously easy. It's on your phone and it's tied into your keyboard. So if you are scheduling it out or posting straight from your phone, it makes it easy. But full disclosure, I do use a laptop for a lot of aspects of my business, and I found it even easier to schedule out my class on the app.boards.com desktop version because it has all the same info, and I could literally click the share button. It's like a little box with an arrow, and then hit paste for all of the images and graphics, as opposed to like having to download it on my phone and then upload it that way. I literally just clicked paste, and it could not have been easier. So Boards makes it so easy to schedule things out. So don't sleep on downloading the Boards. It's not scary. It's very easy. I honestly think even a new distributor could benefit from the beauty of using Boards in their business. So don't sleep on Boards. Okay. And then the final do and don't is do a pinned post that has all of the basic info that gives a new customer exactly what they need to get started. So for me, I have right now, it's actually a really old video that is of me doing the makeup, and I can tag a new customer in there so that she knows exactly what that looks like. And it's pinned to the top so that if someone maybe just joins the group and they're thinking about trying it, they've got the basics that are right there. And this could be a graphic, it could be a video, it could even be a guide. You can, in Facebook groups, you can set up, and I think you have to change the group setting to make it a social learning group, but then you can create a guide in the group to where maybe like new to whatever your product is, new to gut health, start here. And then you can have a couple of posts that really explain the basics of it. So when you do that pinned post that has all the basic info, not only are you serving someone who's maybe a brand new customer, but you're also going to serve the lurkers, the stalkers who might even be creeping around in your public group, that they might just be wanting to learn a little bit more about it, okay? Or again, it's something that someone could easily tag a friend that they think might be interested in what you have to do. So do pin the post to the very top of the page to make it really easy for people to access. And you can pin multiple posts up there as well. And then finally, don't forget to point your new customers to the group. And y'all know this, I love Jotform for kind of doing a lead capture form to funnel people into your communication platform, whether that's using text marketing like Project Broadcast. I'll talk about that in a minute. But either at the end of your Jotform, you can have it redirect to, so when they click submit, you can actually have it redirect to a website. So I recommend having your Jotform redirect to your VIP Facebook group so that once they have, in my example, they've been color matched, or maybe you are going to use Jotform like a quiz or a survey to find out more information about their fitness journey or their gut health or whatever it is that you're marketing, you can point people directly by having that Jotform go as a web redirect into your VIP group so that they can join the group. Again, they can stalk away. They can see, oh, okay, I'm going to be served really well by Heather here, and I've got all the information I need to dive in as a product. You can also do this directly via text message. I have not actually added this into mine, but I do plan with my thank you text message that automatically goes out, and I'll tell you more about that in a second. But when it automatically goes out to my customers, I'm going to have it add the VIP group in there so that they can click on that link again to be served all of the information that's going to come in that group to stay on top of all the things. Okay, it's one more place where they already are. Most people are on Facebook already, and so they're already there, and they can be continually well loved and served in that group. Okay, so don't forget to point new customers to the group, either using a URL redirect on your Jotform or by literally just thanking them and sending them the link when they join, or when you want them to join after they have purchased or before they have decided to purchase, either. So my friends, that is the list of my do's and don'ts. I would love to know what's worked for you. So head on over to that Called to Lead community. You can text the word podcast to 912-405-8912. And you'll get a link to that Telegram group. And I would love to know if there's some things that have worked well for you or maybe haven't worked for you. And I know we had the whole public versus private conversation about the Facebook group not too long ago in there. And so come on in and join the conversation. There's a lot of other leaders that are just like you. And it's a great place to get to know people in that way. So also, I want to let you guys know I'm so excited for this. So if you're like, wait, you have automations to automatically send a thank you to your customers? I sure do, and it's amazing. And I have actually created a course that I'm getting ready to launch here in the next couple of months called Automate to Replicate. And for you guys who might want to get a little sneak peek preview, I have the beta version ready to roll out for you. It is at pre-launch pricing. It will go up, but it's called Automate to Replicate, and right now it's $97. And it's definitely going to be probably at least triple that amount when I officially roll it out. So now's the time to just try it out, to focus on setting up those automations for your business. So it ties in job form, project broadcast, even email marketing if you want. But what it does is it completely automates all of your customer follow-up and creates a system that you can use to really make sure that you're serving your new customers, your existing customers really well. So you can go to heatherkburge.com/automate if you want to learn more about that. So heatherkburge.com/automate and find out all the scoop and just dive into that beta pricing and let me know what you think over in that Call to Lead community. I'm so excited. So thank you guys so much for listening. Of course, this did wind up being a little bit of a longer episode, but hopefully it was action-packed for y'all and lots of tips. Again, these are all things that have been proven to be effective or ineffective over the years of doing this in my business, and I can't wait to see how it impacts yours as well. So thank you guys and have a fabulous week.